Deep in the universe, a massive asteroid 10 to 15 kilometers wide hurtled toward Earth. It raced at 64,000 kilometers per hour, 20 times faster than any rifle bullet. Without warning, it slammed into what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula with catastrophic unstoppable force. The energy released equaled over 10 billion Hiroshima atomic bombs detonating all at once. Earth's crust was instantly compressed, melted, and almost completely vaporized at the strike point. The collision carved a crater 180 kilometers wide, the Chicxulub crater. This geological scar became an eternal boundary dividing two completely different eras of life. Supersonic shockwaves swept the globe instantly, triggering earthquakes of magnitude 10 and above. The violent tremors forcibly awakened dormant volcanoes, releasing fresh ash and toxic gases skyward. Every creature on Earth felt the world changing forever in that single catastrophic moment. Giant sauropod dinosaurs grazing on ferns instantly lost their balance as the ground violently shook. Their thick limbs were crushed beneath collapsing walk layers, their roars swallowed by the wind. A Tyrannosaurus Rex, fresh blood on its teeth, was hurled meters away by the shockwave. It slammed into the hard ground, its powerful ancient bones shattering, never to rise again. In just minutes, the initial impact ended, but the chain of catastrophes had only begun. In the hours that followed, trillions of scorching impact fragments re-entered the atmosphere. They rained down on Earth's surface like celestial fire, instantly igniting wildfires everywhere. From tropical rainforests to northern coniferous forests, ancient woodlands burned and turned to black ash. Forests that had thrived on Earth for tens of millions of years vanished in just days. Arboreal dinosaurs were trapped on burning branches, their feathers scorched, devoured by spreading flames. Herds of triceratops stampeded in blind panic, some trapped by fire, others swallowed by canyons. Once peaceful herbivores, consumed by desperation, had nothing left but the instinct to flee. 100-meter-high tsunamis swept across the oceans, circling the entire Earth with monstrous waves. The waves destroyed coastlines thousands of kilometers away and swept deep into the ancient continents. In shallow seas, swarms of ammonites were swept up by the waves, their hard shells shattered. Ammonites had dominated oceans for hundreds of millions of years, yet they could not survive. Turtles and crocodiles fled toward deeper water, but were washed ashore onto scorching hot beaches. Trapped on burning beaches, they waved their limbs helplessly and slowly perished in the extreme heat. 15 trillion tons of dust and sulfur compounds rose to float in the stratosphere above. This dense curtain completely blocked sunlight, severing Earth's primary source of energy and warmth. A 10 to 15 year impact winter followed, with global temperatures plummeting 25 degrees Celsius. Earth's entire ecosystem collapsed almost instantly, and 75% of all species vanished forever. The larger the organism, the more stable its needs, and the faster it was doomed to perish. Large herbivorous dinosaurs grew thinner by the day, unable to find enough frozen plants to eat. They collapsed one by one on the frozen ground, too weak to rise in the bitter cold. Even smaller dinosaurs, more resilient in size, ultimately could not resist a prolonged extreme cold. In the oceans, acid rain triggered severe acidification, dissolving the shells of marine organisms. Shelled creatures like ammonites and corals slowly lost their protection and suffocated in agony. The ocean food chain shattered completely, leaving massive marine reptiles without prey to survive on. Mosasaurs, the mighty ancient rulers of the seas, gradually withdrew forever from history. Those giants who once ruled the Earth left only cold fossils to silently tell their stories. It was a dark, cold, and silent world where the breath of life had nearly gone. The Earth lay barren and still, yet in the deepest darkness, a faint light persisted. Small creatures with low energy needs and flexible adaptability survived the catastrophe by fortunate chance. Small mammals, birds, crocodiles, turtles, amphibians, and insects wrote miraculous stories in desperate darkness. Early opossums and insectivores, no larger than mice, had long been accustomed to underground life. These underground burrows, built long before the catastrophe, became their most precious life-saving sanctuaries. At the moment of impact, they darted deep inside, sealing the entrance with soil and hay. Inside their burrows, they stayed safe from the high temperatures, fire, and shock waves above. Mother beasts held their newborn cubs tightly against their bodies, wrapping them in warm, soft fur. The tiny cubs whimpered softly, while their mother gently rubbed them with her nose in comfort. During the impact winter, they crept out, only at night, searching desperately for any trace of food. They searched for underground seeds, insect larvae in rock crevices, and frozen corpses of small reptiles. At any hint of danger, they froze completely, ears flat, curled into tight defensive balls. Strong individuals brought food back to share with the elderly, the weak, and the young. This small yet fierce tenacity kept a fragile spark of life burning in the darkest despair. Some birds survived as descendants of dinosaurs, more flexible than their ancient ancestors before them. When wildfires spread, they spread their wings and fled burning forests toward alpine rocky refuges. During the impact winter, they used keen senses to locate cold-tolerant fruits and dormant insects. Some birds crawled into mammal burrows, forming temporary, symbiotic bonds against the cold and hunger. Crocodiles survived the catastrophe thanks to their inherently slow metabolism and ancient adaptive physiology. During the impact winter, they burrowed into river mud, entering a deep semi-dormant state. They sustained life for months without eating, quietly, waiting beneath the ice for warmth to return. Ancient turtles too retreated beneath frozen rivers and lakes, hibernating through the long devastating winter. Insects survived using their extraordinary reproductive capacity and ability to endure extreme conditions. Their eggs hibernated frozen in cold ground, ready to hatch rapidly once conditions slightly improved. After the catastrophe, as sunlight slowly filtered back through the thinning atmosphere, Earth began recovering. Surviving creatures gradually emerged from burrows, rock crevices, and river mud to greet a new era. The age of giant dinosaurs had ended. Resilience and adaptability became the new laws of life. As temperatures rose and plants slowly recovered, the ancient food chain was rebuilt from nothing. Small mammals no longer needed to hide from dinosaur predators, and a golden age had arrived. They gradually moved from underground to the open surface and began their remarkable diversified evolution. Some mammals grew larger over generations, slowly becoming the new dominant rulers of the land. The earliest ancestor of ancient elephants, Moerithrium, was only slightly larger than a modern pig. It had no long trunk yet, only a short snout, living along ancient swampy forest edges. As climate dried and forests shrank, ancient elephants slowly evolved longer trunks and larger bodies. Their massive bodies grew immense, their limbs like pillars, dominating the vast ancient grasslands. They developed complex social behaviors, adult elephants protecting calves on vast seasonal migrations. The early ancient horse, Eohippus, was no larger than a small fox in ancient dense forests. It had 4 soft padded toes on each foot, ideal for moving across soft ancient forest floors. As grasslands expanded and forests retreated, ancient horses evolved longer and far more powerful limbs. Their multiple toes gradually fused into one strong hoof, perfectly suited to hard grassland ground. They evolved fig-wear-resistant molars to efficiently chew the tough grasses of open ancient plains. In great herds they galloped across ancient grasslands, using group strength to resist deadly predators. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. See you next time.